Now, are you an arm swinger or a body swinger? Going through YouTube, you probably heard that phrase, those two phrases being used a lot. Today, I'm going to discuss with you what they mean and which one works best for you. All right? Hi, my name is Coach Kitri. Welcome back to my channel. Like I mentioned before, and always, please like and subscribe if you've been enjoying my videos so far. Today, I want to discuss this whole concept of an arm swing versus a body swing. Now, what does that even mean? You see, the way that a lot of people are being taught, especially when you initially learn how to play golf, or even as a kid, is the focus on ensuring the club head is able to close through impact. So what does that mean? That means that, when you take a setup, you usually have a relatively weak grip or neutral grip. Your feet shoulder width apart, you bend from the hips, you shift your weight quite a bit towards the right, and then from there, you actually kind of open the club face in the backswing with the intention of closing the club face in the downswing, and then while you're shifting your weight forward. Now, this is to basically encourage an in-to-out swing, which I'll show you more from the other angle. But the point of this swing is to allow the club head to kind of close through impact with very little body rotation, but instead a lot more arm rotation through impact. There's a lot of arm rotation happening here. Now, if you can see here, it kind of moves something like this, where, as you can see, my lead shoulder doesn't really move and turn so much. It just kind of aims it towards basically the target, and from there, my club face is wide open in the backswing, and I close the club face. Now you can hear I got relatively good contact doing that, and normally what this is going to create is a draw shot, which is a swing that, especially for a lot of people who start this game, is what we're aspiring to do. And it's a really easy way of doing it. Your club path gets well inside out. You're able to use this motion to have a really strong negative club face rotation, which kind of combat each other to create a nice push draw towards the target. Now, is it necessarily the best way for you? And if you've noticed, you don't really normally see a lot of tour players swinging it this way. All right. What is the other way of swinging at the ball? Now, the other way of swinging at the ball is there's very minimal amount of club face rotation. Instead, all the arms are simply doing is going up and going down. There's hardly any club face rotation through impact. What does rotate is the body in the backswing with a good measure of tilt, turns, and bends, and then the body in the downswing with a good measure of tilt, turns, and bend, including a lot of sway. Now, usually you see players who are doing this, they don't necessarily shift their weight so significantly towards the right. They try to stay more centered or even more towards the left side. And how this looks through impact is, as you can see here, my club face hasn't really, I never really need to rotate my hands or close my hands. My club face is staying relatively square through through the backswing. And as you can see, there's a lot more rotation on my torso in the downswing, where you can see how my right shoulder is right under my chin. This helps me definitely stay a little bit lower, and as you can see, I'm able to get really, really solid contact. And the benefit of this is that you're not necessarily going to hit a significant draw like an arm swing, but you have a tendency to also maybe kind of fade it if you'd like, or also still be able to hit a relatively small draw. The dispersion effect becomes a lot less. Right. Now, which one works best for you? And let me show you how these two look like from the other angle, all right? All right, so how does it look like from this angle? Now, here's something that you'll notice immediately when I take a posture and I'm trying to play an arm swing. You'll notice that the club face, I'm sure you may have heard it before, it's like where the toe of the club head is pointing up to the sky in the backswing, especially when the club shaft is parallel to the ground. You can take it up. As you can see, there's hardly much rotation in my backswing at all with my body, and then from there I'm trying to get my club to kind of move more into our path, and as you can see, through impact I'm using my wrist and my arm rotation to close the club face as strong as possible. And you'll notice that my lead shoulder tends to stay relatively close through impact, so in that way it kind of encourages an into-out swing, and I'll be able to kind of finish more like this. And as you can see there, I hit that a relatively decent contact with a nice little draw. A little draw towards the target, not too bad actually. But if you would happen to see the numbers here, numerically, I had a club path of like 12 degrees inside out with a face closure of minus 8.5 degrees. That sort of balances it out, but it tends to get a bit more significant. Now, why that's important is because, so that's sort of a swing. Is it a good way to begin? Yes and no. Especially for those players who are not maybe particularly athletic, or if you're like more of a senior player, or even if you're just a kid and you're just trying to create power however way you can, this is usually the way that kind of works better for you. However, what this way of swinging does is that it kind of allows it a lot easier to hit like behind the ball. Why? Because this release action becomes really tricky to control the low point, especially when you start with your weight way back in your right leg in the backswing. So you really have to ensure that you're moving forward towards the target through impact while doing this movement with the wrist. The other problem also as well is that it becomes entirely timing based. So if I'm swinging really slowly, or if I'm not really swinging very fast, and you can see there my club head speed is around maybe 70 miles an hour, something like that, you can see how I kind of finish very casually. The swing looks relatively smooth, and you can see I made a boomerang sort of a draw towards target, almost towards the target. And you can see that at a normal soft speed, it's more controllable. But the moment that I try to get more aggressive with it, now take note, I have no idea where this ball is going to go, but I am going to try to swing it faster doing this motion. I'm like here, and you can hear that the contact wasn't as sweet anymore, and you can see the extreme that's happening. That is going well past the target line and going way left. And the difficulty is that when I swing faster, that when I swung it at 86 miles an hour versus 70 miles an hour, the dispersion effect gets more extreme. If I don't time that closure correctly enough, then I will hit these big block slices off towards the right. And the reason is quite simple. I mean, if you're using this as a movement to focus on controlling the club face, yes, the dispersion can go anywhere, you know? Maybe you may not necessarily hit them mostly towards the right, but then you can definitely hit them more to the left. And is this necessarily a way that you want to be playing golf? Honestly, it's not a bad way. All right, I've seen a lot of students here who have very limited torso rotation, and you know, if you're not going to be swinging so far and you're essentially playing with fun golf, this is a nice way of going about it. But you'll never really notice a lot of tour professionals doing this. How would they swing? Like I mentioned, the more body swing. What does the body swing look like? As you can see here, my hands are not rotating so much. They stay relatively square. And as you can see, my body rotation is quite extreme. Now from there, through impact, you can notice that my club is not trying to force it into our swing. From here, I'm getting my whole body to rotate through impact. And that's why by doing this, you can see I have a really easy way of maintaining my club, my body posture below through impact. And you can see how close my arms get. Relative to an arm swing where your arms tend to kind of go away, and then there's a little bit of wrist flexion, ulnar deviation to kind of make sure that you get contact with the ball. Over here, I'm trying to minimize any wrist rotation or ulnar deviation, and I'm ensuring that my body rotation goes through. So you can see here, looks something like this. It's like here, kind of like that. And as you can hear, I definitely finished a lot lower and more left through impact. And you can see there, I didn't necessarily hit like a draw per se. My club path was about 1.6 degrees, and it was a little bit of a fade. And ideally, to be honest with you, that's the kind of shot that I actually like a lot when I'm playing on the course, because that little tiny fade it's become a lot easier for me to control, especially when I'm trying to hit greens. Now, you'll notice this especially with a lot of tour players. They tend to play like this, and also like athletes. And which one works best for you? That's why it's really, really important that before you start watching YouTube videos about how to swing, you understand the way that works best for you. Henceforth, I recommend that you click on the link in the description below, send me your swings through the Skillest app, and then that way I can find you and recommend you the best way to swing it and give you the right systematic method on developing it, being able to control the low point regardless of the method you're using, and also controlling the club face. All right, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. As you can see, it's a little bit more of a clarification on so many things that you may have heard of or seen on YouTube or Instagram or something like that. And if you have any questions, please comment below, and follow for more videos in the future. Cheers.